Now we want to bring up Adam Baretz, who is an editor at Book Life, which is Publishers Weekly's self-publishing site. So he is going to talk to you about the importance of book reviews.
Hello. So book reviews are obviously a great way to market your book. We've talked a lot about different types of reviews you can try to get and how to do that. But first, before we jump into that, I want to read out a few book reviews. Now, these are real reviews, real books that appeared in real magazines and newspapers. And if you think maybe you know the name of the book that the review is of or the author, just shout it out. Don't be shy. I'm going to say it. You're going to tell me what you think it is. All right, we'll start with this one. There are two equally serious reasons why this book isn't worth any adult reader's attention. The first is that it is dull, dull, dull in a pretentious, flawed, and archly fatuous fashion. The second is that it is repulsive. Anyone know what book that is? 50 Shades of Grey. That is Lolita, as reviewed by the New York Times. We'll do another one. This is a good one. How any human being could have attempted such a book at the present without committing suicide before she had finished a dozen chapters is a mystery. It is a compound of vulgar depravity and unnatural horrors. Anyone? 50 Shades of Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights? As reviewed in Ladies Magazine. All right, we'll do one more. This one's my favorite. Throughout numbingly boring, and for much of the time, deeply and extremely disgusting. Not interesting disgusting, but disgusting disgusting. Sickening, cheaply sensationalist, pointless, except as a way of earning its author some money and notoriety. Anyone? It's not 50 Shades of Grey. That was American Psycho. So why am I reading you terrible reviews of very successful books? It's not to say that book reviews don't matter. They do. They're a great marketing tool, and we're going to get to that. But it's that you should take reviews, especially reviews of your own work, with a grain of salt, and see how you can use them to your advantage. So, how do we do that? At Book Life, we kind of break reviews down into three categories. There are customer reviews, free reviews, and paid reviews. So we're going to start with customer. So obviously customer reviews are reviews of your book that people who have bought it post on pages like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. But additionally, you can have customer reviews on a site like Goodreads. So how do we get customer reviews? One way is through blogger outreach. Basically, you're going to go online, you're going to do some research, find a blog that you think might review your book, and then pitch that blog for review. But the key here is to find out what the blogger's reposting policy is. Because a lot of bloggers, after they post the review on their site, they'll go onto Amazon, they'll go onto Goodreads, and they'll repost it. So that's a way to start building some customer reviews. Another really good way is that Amazon has signaled out their top reviewers. I think they're called top customer reviewers. And these are people who are highly prolific, and their feedback has been very helpful. So you can go online, find out who they are. They probably have a profile page with their contact information. So you're going to go on and reach out to them and see if they'll review your book. Now, customer reviews on Goodreads, it's a little different. There are two ways that we recommend. One is you're going to want to join their author program. Now, you do that and you're able to host giveaways on Goodreads. So basically, you're going to give away 100 copies of your book on Goodreads. So when you do that, you can, in the note to the person getting the free book, say, I hope you enjoy the free book, and if you want, post a review here on Goodreads. So that's going to build up your customer reviews. And another one on Goodreads, you could join groups. Now, this is a little trickier. You don't want to spam the group. So you don't want to join the group and your first thing is, hey, who wants to review my book? They'll probably kick you out of the group. The idea here is that you're joining a community. You're talking about books, you're connecting with people, and then you're getting them to review your book. So that is another way to get customer reviews on Goodreads. We're going to move on now to paid reviews. Now, paid reviews are a somewhat controversial topic in self-publishing. There's kind of two schools of thought. One is, you guys are indie authors. There's a stigma against indie authors. You're not going to get the same kind of coverage as traditionally published authors. You should go out there and get any review you can. If you have to pay for it, that's fine. I think the other school of thought is, you're paying for a review. No one's going to think that that's an actual review because you're paying someone to do it. My advice would be that you should go out and get any and all reviews that you can, even if you have to pay for them. And there are some very reputable outlets out there that will sell you a review. Now, every paid review service is going to have its own guidelines, policies, perks, additional services, and prices. Some of them, you get a review, you don't like it, they'll let you kill the review, they'll never run it. Others, if you need a review faster, if you pay a little more, they'll expedite it. And you can see on the slide, these are some of the major players. But the first thing you should do before you buy a review, and I'm going to say, this is going to kind of be a refrain, is that you need to do a lot of research. You're going to find out which service meets your price range. You're going to find out what add-ons and what services they offer that you need. And from there, you can go. Now, here are the major ones. You have Kirkus, Indie. Kirkus is really big. They review traditional and self-published titles. Indie Reader, Blue Ink Review, Self-Publishing Review, and Clarion Forward Review is another one. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on each of these review sites. If you go to booklife.com, we have a bunch of how-to stories. So if you go to BookLife, type in paid reviews, it's going to bring up an article, and it's going to have all of the prices and options for all these services. I would say, if you're going to buy a review, pay for a review, you're probably going to, end up spending around $200 minimum, maybe $600. It depends on what you need. So again, do a lot of research. And finally, in paid reviews, one thing we could talk about is NetGalley. Now, NetGalley is a paid service, and it basically lets publishers and authors upload their books to a website prior to publication. So you put your book up there, and then professional readers, that's what they call it, so basically, writers, reviewers, critics, can request copies from you. Now, again, this is not going to be cheap, and I think NetGalley has different plans and price points based on what you need. And so again, prepare, have a plan, and one thing to consider is that there are tens of thousands of books on NetGalley, professional books, self-published books, so you're going to want to make sure that your book stands out and, that your page looks professional on the site, that your book's page looks professional, that your cover art is really good. You don't want to just upload a Word file and be done with it. So those are some paid review options, which brings us to free reviews. So I think to start with free reviews, if you online, there are a number of reviewer directories that can help you connect with writers who will, for free, review self-published books. Now, there are a bunch of those, but three of them that I would recommend, there's IndieView, Book Blogger List, and Book Reviewer Yellow Pages. And again, we don't have really time to go into the details of all those, but if you go to booklife.com, type in free reviews, you can pull up an article, it'll have all of their all of their information about them. Another strategy is to skip the directories and just research blogs. Go online, let's say you wrote a romance novel, go online, find some sites that review self-published romance, and reach out to them directly. So you're kind of circumventing the lists. And I think the final thing that we're going to talk about within free reviews is traditional media. And I think, we kind of all know that traditional media hasn't been too kind to self-published authors. There's not a lot of options there. However, there has been some improvement, and I think the stigma against self-published authors is beginning to fade. In 2012, the New York Times reviewed its first self-published book. So, I guess that's good. And in 2014, The Guardian ran a self-published book of the Month Club. So that was also good. That was 3 years ago. But change is happening. But still, reviews from traditional outlets are kind of few and far between. And I would recommend you, kind of focus elsewhere. If you really want a newspaper review of your book, you might try, your local paper. I think if you go to the paper in your area as a local author and talk to their arts reporter, you probably have a better chance than if you send 2 copies of your book to the Washington Post. It's probably not going to happen. And now I want to talk a little bit within traditional media and free reviews about BookLife. because my boss Carl, who's sitting right there, he would fire me if I did not. So, Book Life is Publishers Weekly's website dedicated to indie authors and self-publishing. And we've got a lot of how-to articles, Q&As, author profiles, news, reviews, pretty much anything you might want as a self-published author. In addition, you can go onto Book Life and submit your book for review consideration at Publishers Weekly for free. So it's completely free. You just go to Book Life, create a profile, create a page for your book, and there's a little button, you can click it, and it'll go off to Publishers Weekly, and an editor there will take a look at it, give it some serious consideration, and possibly review it. So that is another option. So now that we've discussed the types of reviews, there's free, customer, and paid, let's talk a little bit about things you can do to increase your chances of getting a review. All right, number one is, and again, I said this before, do your research. If you have written an erotic novel and you submit it to a Christian YA blog, probably not going to get a review there. So do your research. I'd say query letter basics are important. There are a lot of online templates out there, so you can see query letters that people have used that have helped them get reviews. And you can just, basically steal that and use it for yourself. But I would say be polite, be professional, be to the point, and be informed in your letter. I think, if you're an editor or a blogger and you're going to be getting thousands of these a month, if you get one that's professional and polite and kind of to the point, you're going to pay attention to it, as opposed to if you're scrolling down and it's 10 pages and it starts off with a story about your cat and how your cat helps you get started as a writer. That won't work. So no cat emails. That's what I'm saying. ARCs and ebooks. You're going to want to have both. ARCs are advanced review copies of your book. So those are the copies that you're going to send out to reviewers. And you're going to want to have those before you start sending out queries, because if you get in touch with a blogger, she's happy to review your book, and then you're like, I don't have the book yet, it's going to be 2 more weeks until I get it from the printer. That's probably a review that you have lost. And the same thing goes for ebooks. You're going to want to have ebooks in all formats. You don't want to have a PDF, you want to have it for a Kindle. Have all of that available before you start querying, so you can get it to the blogger or the reviewer. Number 4 is your author website. You should definitely have one. It should definitely not be shitty. I would, you're going to want this to be the place where people go to find out information about you. You're going to want to have your author bio, information about your books, where they can be purchased, links to your social media. It should look really sharp and professional, and kind of like any other author's website. And finally, you're going to want to have all of your marketing materials put together in advance before you start trying to get reviews. Because if you submit a book for review and if I get your email and it doesn't say anything about you and it's just this, here's a book, do you want to review it, you're probably not going to get a review. But if you make that same pitch and you have a Q&A that you did with your local paper and a couple of customer reviews, all of that information is going to show me that you're a professional, that you're serious, and that I'm going to give your book more consideration. So now we're going to come to the part of the presentation where we talk about bad reviews and how to deal with bad reviews. Because, if you get one, and you might, I would recommend just remembering the following points. 1, it's just one person's opinion. So, it sucks to get a bad review. No one likes it, but it is just one person's opinion. And think about the reviews that I read off at the beginning of those great books. It's just one person's opinion. Move on. Number 2 is to focus on the positive. And I don't really mean this kind of like a Pollyanna way, but I think most book reviews are what we would call mixed. The reviewer reads it and they say, I like this, I like that, I didn't like this. And so you can use the part that's good in your marketing materials. So, if you get a review from Publishers Weekly and says, this is a thrilling novel, you're going to want to take, this is a thrilling novel, and plaster that everywhere, on your book jacket, on your website. Use that to the best of your ability. And then I think believe in your work. You've written a novel or a collection of short stories or a memoir, and it's probably taken you years, and above all, you need to believe that you're a writer and that your work has value, and you shouldn't let negative reviews make you think otherwise. And finally, don't complain. I mean, you can definitely complain, maybe to your friends, your family members, even on social media, but I would not write letters to the publications that gave you the bad reviews saying you didn't read my book, because they just think you're a crazy person, and then you'll never get another review from that particular outfit. All right, so that's going to bring us to the last slide, which is your book review action plan. All right, start early. Excuse me. Start early. You're going to want to be doing this well before your book comes out. If your book comes out tomorrow and you start sending it out for reviews that day, it's already too late. So you want to do this as soon as possible. Again, you're going to do your research. There's a lot of stuff out there for you. You just have to find what's right for you. Make lists so you can just be very organized. Make lists of blogs, of potential reviewers, options for free, for customer, for paid. Craft your pitches, and definitely follow up, but don't pester. If you don't hear back in like a couple weeks, it's okay to send another email. But again, I would advise against sending an email every day or showing up at the office of the reviewer or anything like that. And keep in touch. And I think this is something a lot of indie authors don't do. If you get a good review from a blogger, send a thank you email and then let them know about your next book, that you're building relationships here. And finally, obviously, use your reviews. The whole point of sending your book out for a review isn't, I'll get a review and feel happy about my writing and myself. I mean, you will, but you're going to want to use that review in all of your marketing materials to build on. So you get one review, you can get another review, and continue in that fashion. Put it on your website, etc. So that is that, and I guess we can take questions. Questions? No questions.
Adam was very nervous. You could never tell that, could you? Especially, he was very nervous up here, and you did a fantastic.
I did wet myself, though. You can't see it. Very damp. But no one has any questions at all? Yes.
I'm just wondering what the difference is between, because I've gotten reviews after the book's been out. I'm not doing it the correct way, obviously, but what's the difference between getting them before and getting them after?
Well, if you get them before launch, you can use them in your marketing materials for the book launch itself. And I think, and that kind of goes to a larger marketing question, but you want to start marketing your book before it comes out. So if you can get pre-publication reviews, you can put that in your marketing materials, and then you're sending your book out with some reviews. Does that make sense? I think additionally, if you look, that's how both Kirkus and PW are pre-publication review sites. So we get the books months and months in advance, and then the reviews come out, and those reviews would be available for marketing.
Although I will say that with Publishers Weekly for self-published books, we don't have a pre-publication requirement. We do for traditionally published books, but if you're a self-pub author and you've already published your book, you can submit it to Publishers Weekly at any time for review consideration. So
that's true. Yeah, right behind you. Other questions about book reviews? Personal questions about my life? That's fine. What have you?
So, thank you for your time.
Oh.
My question is in regards to getting a review from a source that's not necessarily a review site or a review per se. So, say I do children's books. Is a review from like a teacher or a school just as valuable or more valuable than a review book or a review site or something specifically catered to reviews? Or is that just as valuable or more valuable or less?
Well, I think there is a hierarchy of value. So certainly I think if you got, a review from the New York Times, that would be more valuable than what you're talking about. But there is, I think, value to that, and I think it depends on what you're going to do with the review too. If you're trying to use a review to then get another review, I think review sites are the way to go. But if you're trying to get your, if you're trying to market your book to a certain group, and you have let's say it's a medical book, and you want to get into a medical conference or something. If you have if you have a blurb from like a doctor, then I think that's going to carry some weight. So definitely that is valuable, but there is a hierarchy.
Thank you.
I just want to quickly add that there's a difference between reviews and endorsements, and what you're kind of talking about is more endorsement, and that's really important, especially if you have a book that is geared towards the educational market, like for children, and to get endorsements from teachers, from librarians is really really helpful.
Or celebrities.
A review that is paid, if it is very flattering, you may use that. The other may use that for marketing purpose. If it is very critical, the other may not. So if the reader has a way of finding out.
All right.
So
What? So I think I missed the question. I'm sorry. You saying? Yeah, it's the mic. It's not.
you know how to get an honest review, because if it is paid for, there's a tendency for the reviewer to give a flattering review.
Oh, so so you're asking about paid reviews?
Paid review.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there is that school of thought that you're paying for it, but I think if you let's say go to Kirkus, they do sell reviews, and those reviews aren't entirely glowing, and the author does have the choice not to publish it if it's terrible. But there are some mixed reviews that of self-published books where the reviewer has said, "I like this, I didn't like that." So, I mean, there are those two schools of thought. But I would say, if you have a review from Kirkus Indie, that's going to help you more than not having one.
Thank you, Adam. Let's give Adam a round of applause, especially for his nervousness he was. And